Are you ready for some nerd power? It's the Falcon Paladin Hour, a podcast by Falcon Paladin and Somicron. Falcon hates puns and thinks that they're all wrong. One's American and one is an Aussie, talking about StarCraft 2 and the esports scene.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. This week joined by special meme. Who the hell is Duddles and why is he here?
Hello.
Hi.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. You're always welcome. Falcon is just like hanging, refusing to say anything. That's fine. It's weird to be the strong and silent type on a podcast, Falcon.
Oh, is he still muted?
He's probably muted, yeah.
What? Oh, no.
There we go.
What was that? What was that version of the song?
What version of the song? It was the theme song. It's the same song it's always been.
Something is going on. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
We can't.
Is my internet bugging out? Is your
Wonderful.
stream dying on me?
No, stream's fine.
No, I don't think I don't think it was. Also, your stream is buffering for me. Is that me or is that you?
I have 0 dropped frames.
It's fine. For me, it was like 2 minutes behind, of almost a full 2 minutes behind earlier. Then I refreshed it. It's
My
fine.
gosh, the stupid.
Wow. Wow, Falcon. Fix your internet. How unprofessional, right, Duddles?
I'm extremely. I'm actually leaving. Bye, guys.
Yeah, you're out of here.
Yeah, that's too much for me. I am ashamed.
Just-
Oh no.
How dare someone have internet problems on the internet? Can you believe it? Oh, oh my. Oh, so how you been? Because you have not been on the internet for like 2 months. It feels like you've just been gone from my perspective.
I pretty much have been. So I have been. I've been spending about the past month I moved into an apartment because we sold our house. It's like culture shock living in a house for so long. Also in the suburbs for so long, then moving into like inner city has been like just wildly different. Wi-Fi is weird. We didn't have a table, like a desk or anything to put my PC on. And I've also been like we still had the house for a while, so I was like keeping that there, so I'd like drop my kid off at daycare, then like go to my house because like well, that's a long story. I've just been on a laptop that can't handle video games except like this MMO from 2000 called Dark Age of Camelot.
Right? Yeah, I've seen that you've been playing that.
So I've been playing way too much of that.
Are you winning at the very least?
I know.
I assume this is still another 1v1 RTS, right? Like
No,
just
no,
kind
it's
of like
an
an
MMO.
MMO. It's an MMO.
Yeah, no, it's like pre-WoW MMO. Like it is like
Okay, well,
it is like in
pre-WoW
between
MMO.
EverQuest and WoW. So it's like more hardcore than WoW, less hardcore than EverQuest, you know.
Right.
But I mean, hardcore is a grain of salt. Like it's a free shard. They make it pretty free and easy, and there's like a lot of quality of life. So you're not just having to ride a horse for 2 hours to like get to a village. Like 'cause that's how it was when I played in high school. It was like, hey, what's up? Like, hey, where are we meeting? And they would tell me where, and I'm like, I only have a couple hours to play tonight. Like, can't join you guys. Like, I wish y'all would have like called me. Discord didn't exist back then either, so you couldn't have like, hey, like get on the horse now. You know,
Right.
you're gonna need to take a boat too after you get there. It's gonna be another 2 hours.
And you voluntarily played this game?
So, well, I mean, now that there's all the like, you can just teleport to towns now. It's
Oh,
like,
okay.
because they realize it's like that's not. I mean, you can't do that in the actual like player versus player zones, but it's cool. I like it because there's 3 realms instead of just 2. It's not like Horde Alliance. It's like Hibernia, which is like Celtic. I'm just gonna keep talking about this because fucking Paladin's out.
Yeah.
So there's Hibernia, which is like your Celtic, Irish descendant, Scottish stuff, you know. Then you have Albion, or Albion, I don't know how people want to pronounce this stuff, which is like that's where Camelot is, because Dark Age of Camelot, you know, that's your kind of Roman, Middle Eastern, and just like typical like Britons, right? Like your Wessex people, all that nonsense. And then you have Midgard, which is like your Vikings, dwarves, trolls, all those things. And that's obviously what I play, because I mean, like, hello.
Obviously, yeah.
And so it's like all 3 of them are all, so it's like this castle warfare that we have like trebuchets that you have to set up, but it's like, again, like we're talking 1999 level graphics. They got redone. Oh no, Teach is upset. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's like, oh, dude, sorry, Falcon's out, and they've asked what I was doing, so I was describing Dark Age of Camelot. Like, my entire StarCraft team was like, shut up.
Right,
Game
because
is so bad.
I mean, you could be playing StarCraft, is the thing, but you're not. You're playing this.
So I'm back. I'm playing StarCraft again. poorly.
Well,
But-
that's nothing new, but yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But I can at least like also take like it. I'm more committed to it again, and I'm back. So I mean, like
You
I
took a
have
break.
so
That's
much.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, like a 2-month break, and I'm suffering for it majorly. I got Diamond 1 again when I was drunk the other night, so I played 40 games in one sitting, and which, by the way, I played 40 games in one. That's insane.
Yeah,
I can't
that's crazy. You're practically a pro gamer.
No, I know. Well, I mean, so I was, but it was like that. It's kind of like playing darts for me. Like I kind of have to play while I'm drinking because this is such a hobby. That's like what I do. Is I sit down, I'm drinking a beer, and so it's
Right.
like you're getting to a certain level of like, hey, after like 2 or 3 beers, I'm like, oh yeah, this is how I play the game. Then you like get past that threshold. So I was like, went from 3,800 MMR, was like hit over 4K again. I was like climbing back up to masters, and then like the 5th or 6th beer was kicking in, maybe a shot of tequila in there,
Keeping it spicy.
and I'm back to 3,800 MMR. So it was like,
It saddens me, like on a personal, like I'm a personal failure because I don't drink and I can't play StarCraft half as well as you do.
that's not
right.
true at all.
Like-
I'm
like-
just a cheesy ass dude.
Right. I don't care. Your numbers are higher than my numbers, therefore you're better. That's how StarCraft works.
You also play nothing but team games.
I play some 1v1s, right? I played a couple the other day. I played 2, and I got Protoss both in a row, and it was both the depth printers, and I'm just like, is this what the ladder is these days?
I hear that a lot, but I don't. My games against Protoss don't go long enough. I couldn't tell you. They usually make like, I mean, yeah, I'm usually fighting like 1 or 2 adepts, but like the game's over after that. They either win with those 2 adepts or they don't. Like, and that's it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was gonna say your games are all like 2.5 minutes, right?
Well, against Protoss.
Yeah. What do you do against Zerg, Duddles?
I play like, I mean, I usually get 3 bases if that helps.
Oh,
But I mean, like, it's not. I don't really consider what I do cheesy versus Zerg. I do like some timing attacks and stuff, but I drone behind it not as well as I should. But the intention is to drone behind it, and then I screw that up because I'm bad. But it's like +1 first is what I do a lot, and I do like roach timings and stuff. I never like 13-12. I'm bad at it. It's really weird.
Oh.
It's anytime people watch a stream of mine, they're like, "Oh my god." Like, what this guy went hatch first. Like, I go hatch first every game. Like, every game.
Every game.
It's weird that people are like, whoa, he's not a spawning pool, huh? It's not my style of cheese.
what's
Right.
wrong with you? Yeah,
Right.
fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for some reason, my microphone has decided to stop identifying itself as a Yeti, which kind of freaks Windows out. But I think we're going to do okay here.
I mean, we
Now.
can hear you. We've been able to hear you for a while. So
Great. Yeah. I mean, it's mostly usually I can hear myself through my headphones that are plugged into the Yeti. Can't, and that's freaking me out. But I looked it up, and this particular thing that's happening basically says send it back to Blue, and they'll send you a new one. It's like, how is this a hardware failure? What? Fine. All right. So I guess maybe I'll do that. I don't know. We'll see.
okay.
Blah, blah, blah. I say. Anyway, glad I could make it to the podcast. It sounds like you guys are doing great so far.
Yeah. Glad you could be here.
Talking about me a lot.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Haven't seen you for a while, so got to get caught up. Understandable.
Good to be back.
Yeah. All right. So what I want to talk about first here is The Mandalorian. I think there are some things to explore about the latest episode of The Mandalorian, season 2. What do you guys think?
Is this
Oh, yeah.
episode 2 or 3?
The most recent one is 2. I
Okay.
don't think there's a 3 yet.
Right, because 2 is pretty boring. I don't think much happened.
Yeah, like that's what really bugs me about this is that they
Bugs,
promised
I get
like
it.
we're gonna get
Good
no,
job.
those are spiders, not bugs. Entomologist speaking, you're wrong about that.
They have 6 legs, not 8. They're bugs.
Then they're insects, right?
Which are bugs.
They're spiders. They didn't have 6 legs.
They're spider-like.
But spiders are still bugs. It's insects are bugs, and spiders are bugs. Just spiders are not insects. Isn't that what it is?
Spiders are not bugs.
That's
Spiders are
surprising.
not insects.
I know they're not insects. They're definitely not insects. But
Right.
I thought it was like a square rectangle scenario.
I don't know if the word bug is a scientific word, actually.
I assume it's not.
Yeah. That's our problem. Anyway. Okay, so first of all, we get no information about the child, just like most of the episodes of this show. Everybody just wants to know who this is. We know it's not Baby Yoda, but it's clearly one of his species. Where'd he come from? Or does he have people we can find? Yeah, but they're not getting this to us at all. This whole episode was yet another quest of the week. It's another RPG. We need you to take this person over here. It's basically a FedEx quest. And then shenanigans ensue, and then nothing happens. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's a very spinning its wheels episode.
It feels very, they definitely have a formula, right? It's like delivery quest and or bounty quest. One of those, something goes wrong with it. Result, you either have to, in order to continue, you have to kill a large beast. Well, I don't know why that's the theme. It's always some sort of large
animal monster,
of some sort. Yeah, or you are now stuck in a cavern with frost spiders.
And there's a giant one that counts as a beast. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the one that drops the epic armor.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Ruins your ship.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. The episode was funny. The egg eating was funny. Baby Yoda's a sociopath. It's great.
I think the egg eating is emblematic of the fact that Baby Yoda is definitely a carnivore. We saw him eat a live frog earlier in season 1, so this isn't new. But I think it's more interesting in the fact that the Mandalorian, as a single parent, like, he doesn't know what to do. He kind of sucks at this. Like, his adopted child is doing something that he knows is wrong and that is bad, but he can't control it. He can't parent his way out of this. Baby Yoda, the last thing that happens in the episode is Baby Yoda eats another egg.
That was the best. I didn't like the episode until that happened. Then I was like, all right. So the two things I liked, the X-Wing fighters were great, and like the egg eating. And then Budget Sigourney Weaver was back. And that was interesting.
What? That's Princess Carolyn. How dare you?
Kid, she's Budget Sigourney Weaver. Yeah, no, 100%.
Big time. She is absolutely Budget Sigourney Weaver.
I don't. What? Okay.
Her character's so weird. She seems so out of place in the whole universe.
I agree.
She's so like she's like a bartender personality. She's like, hey, hon.
Yeah. I mean, it's Amy Sedaris. I love her. She does a ton of great voice work for Princess Carolyn and BoJack Horseman, which is a great show, and she's a great character in it. But yes, I think I agree. I don't think she's in place in this world. She's a little too New York for it. Like, it's a weird... Yeah. Like, she's got the accent and the attitude, and she's like, I've been thinking about this baby for weeks. It's like, what is wrong with you, lady? Like, you met Baby Yoda for 2 minutes.
You better cook it medium rare.
Yes. So I don't like her.
You got any of that dragon meat for me? I mean, my accent is not anything like her.
It's weird. It's a good New York accent though, which is what I said, which is not accurate. Yeah. But anyway.
but that's the feeling I get after I hear it. It's like, hey, hon, you got some dragon meat?
Like, well, also, right, lady, I mean, Jesus. Okay, so here's the chain of events, right? Mando gets his speeder blown up. He walks back to town.
Her speeder blown up.
Her speeder blown up. Walks back to town.
Mm-hmm. Not addressed yet. Then, not even brought up.
So he comes over, says, all right, I need to find a Mandalorian. And then suddenly giant ant person's like, yes, I know where to find Mandalorians. Pay this $500 bidet that I owe, and I'll tell you where they are. It's like, what? Yeah, what? No, Mando, don't buy this.
I love that it's like, so in the episode 1 is like this crazy. I mean, I know you guys have probably already talked about episode 1. I haven't heard that one yet, but like, great episode, right? But like, this very beginning of episode 2 makes the ending of the entire first episode irrelevant. Because like, why didn't you just ask your friend? Why are you going to these sketchy underground fighting arenas to figure out where these guys are? Whenever you have a friend who like, hey, I happen to know an insect this time. It is an insect. It's an ant. Who knows where Mandalorians are?
No, that's the whole point. She didn't know Ant Guy had any information about Mandalorians. Yeah, the Ant Guy heard that Mando was looking for Mandalorians and took advantage of the situation. And Mando is a chump. He got sold a bad bill of goods and just rolled with it. It's like, dude, come on. Like, we're supposed to think you're smart because you're not smart.
I think he's desperate, is what it is. I don't know if
But
he's
I
smart.
mean,
He just has no options.
Yes, no, I get it. He's desperate, but like, at least show a sign of skepticism that this dude knows what he's talking about. Can you do that? He's just like, sweet, you have the information I need. What can I do to secure it? It's like, no. The odds that this guy knows anything are very low, dude.
Thanks, random guy at a sketchy ass bar who's playing poker with Sigourney Weaver's, like stepsister.
Yeah.
Stunt double. Yeah.
Stunt double. Yeah.
So as soon as that conversation happened, I was like, dude, Mando, you're getting taken for a ride, bud. Why are you going along with this? I mean, because the show needs him to, obviously, for the story. But like, I just lost respect for him. I used to think he was a smart character, and I think he's kind of dumb.
I mean, he's definitely badass. There's the fire thing though. So whenever the spiders were swarming the ship, right, and then like he didn't get the fire thing out at first, or like, they weren't even on the ship yet. But I was like, as soon as like the spiders started swarming, I was like, man, if only he had like a flamethrower. Dude, like why is he getting a pistol out for this scenario?
It's an RGB staple. You can't single shot swarms of enemies. You got to get the AOE. You need the psionic storm for this, man.
Yeah, you need your splash damage.
Yeah,
get it out.
Exactly. Don't understand. So
yeah, you don't counter Zerglings with ghosts. You don't.
What you need to do is kneecap the frog and hope they accept the sacrifice and leave you alone.
Yeah.
Never going hiking with you, Samacron. Bad things will happen to me, and you'll be fine.
If we ever get swarmed by spiders, I will tell your kids you said hello.
You're gonna kneecap me and book it out of there. That's what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Fair. Okay, so the X-Wing pilots. You mentioned you liked those guys, and I thought they were good characters too. But I'm interested by the constant portrayal of X-Wing pilots in this universe as like lawful neutral, right? Or...
So I would love for you to go more into that. Because I didn't really get, from these guys, I didn't really get lawful neutral. Like, I got...
What did you get?
Good. A little, maybe not full lawful good.
Well, that's the thing. Like, lawful good, members of the Republic, number one, in season 1, right? Mando leaves the distress beacon from the prison ship at the space dock where his dudes betray him, right? Do you remember this? The X-Wing pilots hyperspace in, no radio signals, no nothing, blow it up. They're just like, there's something, some people here are involved with the, this jailbreak. We don't know who's responsible for anything. Everybody dies. And then we go home. And I was like, that is not a lawful good maneuver at all.
No, for sure.
And then in yesterday's episode, they're like, all right, so look, we figured out you're involved with that jailbreak, but you did some good stuff and you saved some Republic lives. So like, we won't arrest you or kill you. And Mando's like, will you help me with my ship? And they're like, screw you, buddy. And flew off. And I was like, that's not lawful good either. So I'm just trying to figure out where to put them.
They saved his life. I feel like if because I mean, like, they were still basically, I mean, his ship, I don't know. The thing about the Star Wars universe, I don't understand where they're like, all right, so does this guy have like 9 windshields just sitting in his trunk? Like what, that thing was kicked in pretty good. Most of the ship is, I mean, I understand they were like, hey, we're just going to seal the rest of it. But like the engine, like that looked pretty messed up. And he's like, oh, it's fine. Like, I just need a soldering iron. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, I totally thought for sure those X-Wing dudes were like, we saved your life. So that makes us even with whatever good stuff you did on that prison ship. But we're leaving you to die. Have a nice day. I was like, damn, you guys are cold. Because if you look at the ship, he's got a giant spider crushing it. Obviously, there's tons of structural damage. The engines are like buried in snow. I didn't think he'd be able to get out of there that easy. I don't think the X-Wing pilots looked at it and said, we can probably make it out of here just fine. I think they left him to die, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. But like, what about the cargo? Like, they knew that those people were probably innocent, they just didn't care. Or even if they weren't innocent, like what, like the other people, like the baby that was with him, they're like, fuck the baby.
Yeah, they were.
Did they know he had other people on board? Right, like because when after they shoot out all the spiders, only the Mando walks out. The rest of them stay in the ship. And when they were on comms, he's not like, look, I've got kids and I'm booking it. Please don't shoot. He's like, just keeps flying. And they're like, don't make us do this. Right? There's no point where they ever know it's more than him in that ship.
Like, Frog Lady kind of squawks while he's on open comms, and he's like, shut up.
Right. So maybe they think he's smuggling people.
Yeah. But in that case, like, wouldn't they want to, like, try to save the people he's smuggling, maybe? No, of course not, because they're not lawful good.
Or because they're in X-Wings and they don't really have the space.
I mean, at least investigate. Like, that's part of what I talked about in season 1 with these guys. No investigation. Show up, murder everybody, go home. Show up.
They're like the kind of cops who are like, this ain't what the paperwork, Rick. Everybody's from New York. Star Wars now, by the way.
That's entirely fair.
The entire Mandalorian, doesn't matter what planet, they're like, and they're like, hey.
Like,
got me any of those tauntauns?
The reason I just bring this up is we've been conditioned generally to think of X-Wing pilots as good people, right? Every X-Wing pilot we've ever seen in any of the other Star Wars has been like, there's no reason for us to think they're bad, at least. Or neutrally or morally gray in any way. Like, they're part of the Republic. They are righteous fighters for good. And that's all we know about them, right? For the most part.
But that was what, 15 years ago? You know, like, these guys are cops now.
And that's the whole point. Like, they've gone from freedom fighters to enforcers of the law, which is a very different thing to do. So yeah, they're cops now, and they're maybe not as heroes as they were, you know?
Right.
I like it. I like the choice. I think it's way more interesting than if X-Wings are super friendly to Mando and they help him out of all sorts of scrapes and they're just guardian angels, right? Like, that's kind of boring. But the way that these cops are like, we won't outright kill you, but we're not your friends. I kind of like it.
I think my favorite part about the show are these little things that they do like that. Like, they actually go into the psychology more so than like obviously in the sequel trilogy. They really pursue like, hey, this is what a stormtrooper's life is like, but then they don't really, you know. It's like, well, yeah, but he was obviously an anomaly.
Right.
But like in the Mandalorian, you have these little glimpses of like, hey, you have the normal stormtrooper guys who punch Baby Yoda in the face, and those are both like funny comedians who did it, and that was fantastic. And they both are trying to shoot a can and like looking at their guns, they can't do it. That scene was hilarious. Like, they go a little bit of psychology, just like, hey, this is a personality type of a stormtrooper, you know, give them a little bit of life to it. And then they do it with the X-Wings too. It's like more like a cop. So it's like you kind of almost like, it's almost like the Imperial guys just kind of came off as like street thugs who were just like, hey, like, I don't like, you just hear the boss just killed somebody else, and just for speaking out, I'm not going over there. Then like it's like these guys work for the mafia. Then you turn to the X-Wings, and these guys have like, you know, they're like we're willing to look the other way with you, bud, but next time.
Totally.
You know, like this totally, you know, they're police officers. It was fantastic. I like that.
All right, so I went back and pulled up the stream for the last episode. And number one, yes, the X-Wing pilots never get direct visual confirmation there's anybody else on that ship except for Mando.
Yeah, not even like told. Not even like they don't see it, but they're also never told.
And I'm going to put into chat here a screen cap of what the ship looks like when they leave. They leave, and then Mando looks back at the ship. Do you think that thing's getting out of there? I think that ship's staying on this ice planet for a very long time.
So, yes, and also, when he repairs it, he leaves the freaking spider exactly like that. Like, he doesn't even... And, you know, he has the tools that are like, I mean, I'm assuming could probably cut through flesh, you know? And so he doesn't, like, remove, like, the spider from the ship first before he's just, like, assuming that this thing that just, by the way, the weight of it took the ship down. But now that he's, you know, stationary, he doesn't have any thrust upward or anything, he can totally just lift off from nothing in a completely damaged ship that has no pressurized anything except for in the cockpit. Like, this will be totally cool.
I can't see the X-Wing pilots looking at this and going, he'll be fine, and flying off. I really don't think that was their intent. It's crazy, man. I like it. I like the moral gray aspect of the world that they're in. It's good. So that was my favorite part. The rest of it, like the spiders, Frog Lady,
Frog Lady was awful. I didn't like her at all.
No, it helps. I mean, it doesn't help that we can't understand anything that she says until she hacks the assassin droid to use him to speak for like 10 seconds.
And then she repeats herself the entire time.
Yeah.
It's like she's on. I didn't like that character very much.
Also, it really seems like she didn't have any like stress about the fact that Baby Yoda was eating her eggs. She had to have known. Like she has them counted.
She's like, hey, there was 28 of them earlier. Now there's 15.
Exactly. But she's never once is she like, so where are my babies? She's like, we have a lot. The reason we have a lot is because we need a
Most
lot.
of them get
Like
eaten by children.
and yeah, by predator baby Yodas. Yeah.
This species has been our primary predator our entire existence. I'm happy that you have one. I'm happy that you have one aboard.
Them's the breaks.
That's great.
Also, they kind of just pulled the whole thing out of their butt. Like, hey, if we go to hyperspace, these eggs will break. It's like, what? Like, we've never seen hyperspace do any damage to living tissue at all under any circumstances. And now there's this one species that their eggs, if they go into hyperspace, they're done. Sure, why not? Okay.
I mean, like, you can't ride a roller coaster when you're pregnant. You know, I can see that.
You know what? That's an
Excellent point.
excellent point. That's really good. All right, you win. That's fair.
We've also never seen a pregnant person get into a ship that was going to go light speed, right? Like, this just never happened.
I mean, in the same concept, you're probably going to feel more G-forces just leaving the atmosphere.
Right? Probably.
It depends on how slowly you do it, I guess.
I mean, you can make the jump to light speed in Atmo, right? We've seen that happen.
We've seen that happen. It's true. It's true.
This is the reason why like hardcore scientists are always like way prefer Star Trek over Star Wars, because they're like, Star Trek, like they tried really hard to get it right, you know. They're like they didn't. They absolutely didn't, but there was an attempt. Star Wars, they use like words like, yeah, I made it in 15 parsecs, and parsecs is a distance. So
well, but then they retcon the hell out of it to try to make it seem like it is actually a time.
Yeah.
In Solo, they did it. They've done it 3 or 4 times recently, where they're like, "Look, all you geeks who have told us parsecs are not a measurement of time. Screw you, it is. Look, this is how." And it's like, just let it go, man.
Yeah, take the L.
Yeah, seriously, just leave it alone. Yeah. Although Star Trek, like, okay, LeVar Burton did a thing once where he talked about his time on Next Generation. And literally in the scripts, the writers would put insert technobabble here. They'd be like, there's a problem with the ship. We don't care what it is. Make some stuff up. Like, if that's not important to us at all. And that's like, all right, that's what I took away from the Star Wars world.
Hyperfluctuators. Oh,
yeah, there's no consistency at all with any of the scientific terms in Star Trek. So I don't think they're not any better than Star Wars is with this, I don't think. But I don't know. Maybe they do try a little bit harder. Hard to say. Anywho, that's The Mandalorian. Tell us who Baby Yoda is, please. That'd be nice.
Sorry, I just found I was looking, I'm wondering if it was there. Is there a Star Trek technobabble generator? And sure enough, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
disturbances in the molecular transporter banks are failing. Whatever that means. It sounds like it would be there.
Sciencey.
Yeah,
That sounds total sciencey.
That totally works. That's great. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So enough Mandalorian. We have other stuff to go over today.
Do we though?
A little bit. We have StarCraft.
Yeah.
We gotta talk about Clem, man.
I haven't watched those games.
Oh, so well, I haven't either. I've watched highlights, and I will tell you right now, they're good.
They're good games.
Clem's face is everything. It's magical. Clem is the fact that this guy's been, so it's weird because he's like what, 8, and but he's been playing StarCraft for 15 years now.
She was in utero, yes.
Yeah, like I mean his dad was playing, but like his dad didn't know what he was doing. It was the child through his mother playing through his soul or something. I don't know. This kid is so good, and just the from like what 5 years ago or 4 years ago something. Watching like Raynor and Clem, they were the guys who were kind of like what Estrella just did, where maybe Estrella kind of flew up a little higher and faster than they did, I think, where it's like we knew the name a little bit, but like he just exploded. Now he's in GSL. But Clem was like, he was doing all like the base trade TV tournaments, all the amateur stuff. Like he probably would have won pizzas, and his parents would have been like, why is there a pizza coming on? Like it would have been really funny. And Rainer was too. And so then all of a sudden, once they finally get old enough to like play in WCS, everyone was saying it's like the whole time, hey, these people are winning WCSs, but that's because Rainer isn't allowed to play in them yet. And Clem, but Clem was never harped as much as Rainer. Until about 2 years ago, whenever Rainer started actually, kind of picking up a little bit, people were starting to say, like, no, watch out for Clem. And you watch his games, and whenever he was on it, it was like, I don't think anybody could have beaten him in this game. Like, because he was so perfect. But then you flip it around, and it's like, the next 5 games are like, he's 13. Whatever. But, like, he's finally... And he beat Maru 2-0. Mm-hmm. Clem, like,
yeah.
Are you serious? Maru, it's amazing. And he beat Cyril. Like this is all in the same week. It's amazing. It blows my mind. Good for Clem.
Good for Clem. Maru's Maru though. Like for Maru to lose to anybody is kind of like, oh, that's Maru. He does that sometimes. Yeah. He wins GSLs and then goes blah.
Yeah, but he doesn't lose to foreigners like that. I did see someone...
except for Mio Micah. Go ahead.
I did see someone sum up Group A as being like the Koreans weren't able to take a single map of foreigners.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I think Zombie Grub said, like, this is the most brutal explanation of Group A I've ever seen.
It's true.
So back to Estrella just a little bit. I don't know if we can rank him higher than Rainer and Clem just because he's played in a GSL.
No.
Rainer and Clem would be doing fine in GSL if they lived in Korea.
I agree with you. I'm saying he shot up faster. Like when it came to knowing who he was, I think in the general StarCraft audience, Clem and Rainer have been around. Even if Estrella's been around as long, their names have been around longer. Just I think probably because of their age and the fact that they're not North American.
Well, and because Rainer took second place in BlizzCon last year.
No, but I'm talking before that. I'm talking like 4 years ago. He's
okay.
I mean, like literally, there's the big joke is that people are asking how old Rainer is, and they'd be like, Rainer's been 12 for 8 years now. Like that's the joke. Everybody's known who he was since he was literally 12 years old playing the game, and now he's like 18 and wearing like Armani and shit on Twitter. But do I have to like drink every time I cuss? I'm sorry. I try not to on this podcast.
I am.
You're fine.
So.
All right. So anyway, yeah, but Estrella, like, I mean, he's North American, and that's like huge. His name was like people like I knew who he was, but kind of like I knew his name. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh cool, we have a new North American player who's like, this guy just beat Neeb, and it was like, it was a PvP, so what does that mean? And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, anyway, this guy's in GSL. It's like, that's amazing. And he like didn't do horribly. Like, I mean, he didn't do great, but whatever. Nobody was expecting him to win GSL.
No, he didn't get. I mean, it was his first GSL. Nobody in their first GSL makes it to the playoff or anything stupid like that. So it's fair.
Yeah.
Yep. Very fair.
I've seen people do worse than he did. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Anyway, Clem's great, man. Like for him to beat Cyril and Rainer in like quick succession, like he did for the EU DreamHack qualification bracket, was just bananas. Like no one's done that. No one has done that to those two guys for a long time now, it feels like. So he's all right. Time of the Terran, man. Like I don't want to hear Terrans complaining about balance for the rest of the year. Can we just stop? You guys are doing okay. You're fine.
Are you guys on the,
It's been a TVT finals in GSL for seasons 1 and season 3, and Clem just won DreamHack EU. So come on, we're doing all right.
Right. He won the EU qualifier. I mean, let's wait till DreamHack's actually finished. Okay.
I'm just saying he took down the two. I don't know what rank Cyril and Rainer are right now in the world, but they are not lower than 3 or 4, right?
They're probably the top 2 foreigners.
Probably the top 2 players.
I don't think foreigners. Rainer was number 1 like 2 or 3 months ago.
Really?
Uh,
Are we talking on a Legalac
A
level or
Legalac.
something?
On
Yeah.
a Legalac, Reyna is number 1, Cyril is 2 of all players worldwide.
Yeah. So like for Clem to be like, I'm gonna take down number 1 and number 2 in quick succession, and that's I don't care what tournament that is. I don't care where you are. That's ridiculous. Clem is playing super well. Widow Mines are good units. Like that's what killed Cyril was Widow Mines.
Mm-hmm.
Cyril's tweet about it too was like, "Don't ask me what I was doing during those games. I don't know." I was like,
honest.
"Dang, Cyril, dark."
At least he's honest
So-
about it.
Yeah,
Did you guys
for sure.
see this Fear Dragon thing? It was like Clem is better than Cyril and Raynor. Neeb beat Clem. Estrella beat Neeb. Asuna beat Estrella. Starkiller beat Asuna. Starkiller both Pizza Pie champion and best foreigner. And so I said, so I beat a GM toss in a best of one time who took a map off of Starkiller. I'm just throwing it out there, right? Like
Logic holds up for me. I think it's valid.
Well, that's why you gotta hate those things. Right? Sports has those too. College football has what's called the circle of suck, where every team has beaten a team that's beaten a team that's beaten a team that's beaten a team. And it goes around in a circle. So last year it was incredible. It was great.
they're like, yeah, University of Lone Star Kingwood Community College once took a flag football game off of this other team, then go through that cycle all the way, and they're like, so they're better than LSU.
Yeah. It's basically like trading up from a paperclip, like you know that game.
Yes.
It's just basically that. You just start with the crappiest team, and they beat someone who's beat someone who's beat someone, and all the way up all the way to the top. So, yeah, that's basically what we're talking about with StarCraft there too. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good job, Clem. Way to nail it. But yeah, we still have to get to DreamHack Winter proper, where everyone's going to be there, and we'll see how he does there. He's going to represent well, I think. Go EU. What else is on our list here today? Akudama Drive.
Yeah.
You able to watch
Anime.
any of that, Duddles?
I did not. I'm sorry.
No. All right. Well,
Yeah.
Summer and I are going to talk about it a little bit.
That's fine. Yeah, I'll go for it.
Sure. Is there anything to talk about in this? Like nothing happened in this next episode. Like they had lunch, and that's it.
They had magic lunch. It was magic lunch.
It's true. They had magic lunch. They had a lunchbox. You close the lid, say what you want. You open the lid, you get it. But it can't do liquids, but it can do wine.
As long as it's in a bottle. So if
Yeah.
you asked for soup in a like closed container,
Right.
it would work, right?
Theoretically.
It's
but...
just a failure of imagination on the part of whoever wanted soup, the hoodlum, right?
Right. But he doesn't like. They don't tell him that, and he just goes, "Oh, this time I'll ask for soup in a can. I'll just take onigiri." Right? Like,
Yeah.
I'll just have something else. I'll just have plain rice bowls.
Yeah. I love that the doctor ends up with friggin' 2 wine glasses and like wine and stuff. Like how? Whatever. It's fine. It's magic. We're good.
Yep.
Well, and then the fact that our protagonist girl has to like teach the 2 robot children what food is was a little bit concerning.
Sure.
I mean,
it's
that's not
intriguing,
literally
but-
what happened. They were just like, we're not hungry. And she's like, eat this. And they're like, oh, wow, that's nice. It's like, what the?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? There's something wrong with these kids, is what I'm trying to say.
You mean the 2 kids they pulled out of a locked vault on a moving train through a decontamination zone where nothing living can live nor pass through, and there's something wrong with these children?
Well, take apart the decontamination zone because there's passenger seats on that train. We know that's bullcrap.
If you guys could hear this without context, anime is so weird.
So weird. You're not wrong. This one's got some weirdness to it for sure. But look, man, I'm just saying, if they were like basic child trafficking victims, but normal kids, they could be locked up in there, and that makes sense. That's not what they are. Something else crazy is happening here.
Sure, and I suspect we'll find out.
Maybe.
Can you
eventually.
guys give me like just a 30-second rundown of the entire show so far?
Okay, so Tokyo, or Japan has been split into two. You have Kansai in the south and Kanto in the north, and in between is a kind of like a radiation minefield. Like nothing living there. Okay,
Your 30
so
seconds are up. Awesome. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Keep going.
right, the south is filled with criminals who don't want to be there, but are forced to be there because they can't pay or bribe or win their way to the north. But a group of criminals has come together called the Akudama, right, who are hired for an extortionate amount of money to rescue something from a vault in a prison, on a train. Excuse me. And that's it.
Okay.
And basically, these Akudama are super duper magic skilled criminals who each have a specific skill set.
I was about to say, where the hell does a magic lunchbox come into this?
Yeah, I mean,
one of the
they
kids
introduced
in
the
the vault
concept of supernatural stuff pretty early.
I mean, it's supernatural, but it's all under the guise of being technology. It's not.
Except when the brawler jumps to the blimp and he jumps like 8 miles. That's not technology. That's just him.
That's just anime.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If it's just him, that makes it natural, not supernatural.
No, his skin's like harder than normal human skin. There's supernatural aspects to him for sure.
Have you guys ever seen those contests of like this, can Superman beat Goku, or like any of those try to do like a Marvel or DC superhero that's like invincible versus just like a regular anime protagonist? The anime protagonist wins every time.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not even close. Like, anime is the most super overpowered, broken thing. I don't know what it is about anime, but they're just all like, this guy has punched a planet and exploded. Like,
right. Yes.
He's a rice farmer. Punched the planet. Exploded.
Well, and the natural extension of this is One Punch Man, where it's like, did 100 push-ups and ran 3 kilometers every day, and now I'm a god killer. And it's like, yes, sure. Yes, anime, of course.
That's how it works, guys.
Yeah.
Are you getting picked on at school? Do a bunch of push-ups. You'll be fine.
I mean, you got to do it for a while. Or it's not just like a week and a half, man. It's like
you got to do it till your hair falls out. Yeah.
Wait, it was like 2 years?
Yeah. You got to do it until your hair falls out.
2 years is god killing level, but like a week and a half, I feel like you can take your bully at school, right?
Fair, maybe, maybe so. Anyway,
Sorry, I'll keep going. I didn't mean to like derail it.
No, that's it. That's just the basic thing.
See, here's the thing: Falcon likes to have all the shows come out week to week, so he can have half-broken conversations about, are the kids supernatural? We don't know, because we'll find out in a later episode. And I like to binge watch shows, so he put this on the list, and there's nothing to talk about from my perspective, because it's all questions to which we do not currently, but will probably have the answers to.
Sure, but there's stuff I liked about it. Like, I enjoy the brawler's attitude, right? He's like, I gotta go hunt down that executioner and kill him. And they're like, dude, he stabbed you last time and you almost died. And he's like, he made me feel afraid. That was awesome. Let's do it again. It's like, yeah, you go get him, Tiger. He's great.
Sure.
Yeah. What does he say? He says, I'm gonna win next time I fight him, even if I die. And it's like, but that's not how that works. Yeah, it's good.
It's a good show. Highly recommend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Anywho,
I will actually watch it. I can't do anime, but I'm gonna do it for you guys.
All right, do it.
Look, man, I'm not telling you to watch something you hate, but like maybe watch the first couple episodes, and if it's terrible, then don't watch anymore. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
If you want, I can give you an anime that you'll hate, right? Like I can just look up and I can find a massive list of just shit that you would not be able to put up with.
Have you? I know you guys are watching an anime, so I doubt you are. But if you've ever been a person who's in this kind of a nerd culture, so a lot of your friends obviously are going to really, really like anime. And if you ever once, especially to a stranger who you're meeting like through a mutual friend, be like, I don't really care for anime. Like I tried it, and I don't like it. And I can even give them the whole story. Like I was telling Samacron earlier, I've been to Akon twice. Like I've seen a ton of. I've tried it. But every once in a while, I try to go back. I really want to like it. I want to. It's just not for me. And guys he will give me a list of like 75 animes. And he's like, by the end of this list, you'll like anime. And I'm like, by the end of this list, I'm going to jump off a bridge. Like, this sounds horrible.
Right. Here's the thing. What I was suggesting was not that. That guy was suggesting, here's 75 top tier anime that you will convert you to loving anime. I can give you a list of 75 anime that will you will throw yourself off a bridge before you make it past the opening of the first one, right? Like, I can find you.
Oh, I've probably seen them, like, or at least like those types. I've seen it where it's like 5 minutes in, I'm just like, people, like this has like 5 seasons. You said,
Yeah,
this got enough of a response that they're like, let's keep it going, guys. Like,
evidently.
it was all about the anime boobies. That's all it is.
That is not true. There
No,
are
it is
many.
pie.
There are at least 4 animes without anime boobies.
So Ninja Scroll does have anime boobies, but that's absolutely like nobody's watching Ninja Scroll because they're like, I hope to see the anime boobies. Like that was a social commentary. That was like Ninja Scroll was amazing. Like I love that was one of my introductory animes, and I think that's probably why I don't like animes because like I watched that and I was like, this is great. Then every anime I watched since, I'm like, what? Like what? Why is everything so silly and hokey and stupid? Like, why is everything like a child's song but then sexual? It's so weird. So weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird out there, but there's also a lot of good, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in non-anime land, I binged The Queen's Gambit on Netflix the last couple of days. It's basically it's a mini series. It's 1 season of 8 episodes, hour long each. I don't think there's going to be a season 2. It's just a very self-contained story. It's really good. So what's funny about it though, 2 things. Number 1, I thought it was a British show. I thought it was a British show about chess. But then like you start out in Kentucky and it never leaves Kentucky. And I'm like, this is definitely nothing to do with England at all. What happened here? Some of the promotional material has the actors dressed up in like English clothes and they're in England. And I don't know why. We never actually go to Britain at all, period, through the whole show. So I'm not sure what happened. But number 2, it's really good. It's like for the smallest of spoilers, it's basically about a little orphan girl who gets introduced to chess. She's 9 years old and it's discovered she's a prodigy. So she starts kicking everyone's butt in chess and it just kind of follows her story. And it's great. So I got 3 episodes in and I was like, what's the true story this is based on? This is amazing. The answer is there's no true story. It's entirely made up. There's never been a female chess prodigy at a young age. Every chess prodigy for young kids has been dudes every single time. And I was like, that's impossible. How's there never been a girl who's like gifted at chess at that level? I don't understand.
Exposure.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, I don't know.
Social gender roles.
Yeah. I mean,
It has to, honestly, that's my only actual explanation because I have no idea. There's no prodigies that are girls that if they picked up chess, they wouldn't have blown everybody's mind, right?
Right, and that's what I'm saying. There have probably been, hundreds or thousands of girls in human history of the last 1,500 years that chess has been around that would have been the greatest chess player of all time. They just never, ever looked at chess in their whole lives, which blows my mind that we've never had one. And I have a hard time with the exposure thing because, like, okay, so my family, there are 5 boys and 3 girls. And the girls are never treated as anything different than the boys. Like, we all did the same things. We all liked the same stuff. We got exposed to the same things. The girls played sports. The dudes were in choir. Like, we all did everything. And so this whole concept that, like, women are withheld from certain aspects of society and certain hobbies, like, maybe I've just never seen it, and it's a very foreign concept to me. But it has to be the case. I think you're right. It just has to be that it's been considered a dude sport for so long. And yeah, I think I looked it up. There are about 50 female grandmasters right now, which is great. But the first one didn't come around until like 65. So, I mean, it's a very recent innovation that, hey, women are good at chess, which blows my mind.
Hey, so this takes place in the 50s, though, right? I'm sorry, the 70s.
Yeah.
Though, right? So
like 60s. The show takes place like in the 60s. Yeah, it's really yeah. So yeah, I totally thought it was real, and I am crushed to learn it is not a true story because I love the idea so much.
I was about to ask if anybody looked that up, and I'm sad too because I was like, it was it really had the feel of this is a real story dramatized.
Yeah,
because they really did a good job. It's so good.
Yeah, they did all this.
One of the best series I've seen in a long time. It was really good.
100%. They put so much effort into making it period You know, they're like, here's Mexico City in 1963. Like, we're doing a helicopter shot. Why? Because we can. I don't know. We didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did Moscow, same thing. Went to Paris, same thing. All the clothes and the attitudes and
Oh my god, the Apple Pie Club. Oh wow,
yes,
that was hilarious. And I like how like it was advertised the way it's like, oh, is this a math club? You know, because it's apple pie, like
Yeah.
not P-I-E pie, but like, and it was like basically a high school sorority. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
So when I went into the show, I thought it was actually the day that I was doing my StarCraft grind. I think it'd come out like the day before. I opened up Netflix. I just wanted some background noise because I was grinding. I wasn't like focusing on my games. I needed some background something. So I turn on that show and I just opened Netflix and it was the very first recommendation because it was like new releases just came out. And I thought first I knew that they did like a story about Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Like
The
her
Crown.
childhood or something. Was that what that is? It was
No, that's The Crown.
And yeah, so I didn't even think about it. I was like, I've never watched that, and it's like that's interesting. I've been on a real huge history kick lately. I'm doing like Dan Carlin's hardcore history like endlessly.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool. Like I will learn about something that happened in the the 40s or 50s and stuff. This will be cool. Click on it, and then like assume like 100% assuming this is about Queen Elizabeth. And like in the very first scene is like this car accident, then she's like an orphanage, and I was like, "There's a lot of shit I don't know about Queen Elizabeth."
Like cops who are speaking with American accents, and you're like, "What is happening?" Yeah,
I'm just not registering. And then until eventually, I'm like, "This is about." And then as soon as they sit on a chess table, I'm like, "Oh, Queen's Gambit. Oh, this is a chess show. I'm an
chess
idiot."
movie.
But then I was more captivated afterward, and and this is my type of drama. Like it's weird because it's like I like the boring ones, like give me there wasn't a single gunshot in the whole thing. It was great.
No knife fights, no chases, nothing.
Yeah, like there wasn't any espionage. It was just chess and like
It's the most boring like story that kind of involves the KGB I've ever seen.
Yeah, I guess there is a little bit of espionage. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. There was very implicated
the tiniest
espionage.
amount of KGB. Yeah,
they were like, "Hey guys, by the way, we are dealing with Russians, so there's espionage." But I don't want to give too much away because I think this is it's brand new and a lot of people are probably not like, "Oh, I hope these guys cover the Queen's Gambit and the Falcon Paladin hour." But I would recommend it so strongly. And with complete confidence, I think that it would take a very special person to watch it and be like, this is dumb. Like you have to be like, you probably also don't like ice cream,
Stomachron might be that person. Stomachron,
do you like ice cream?
I love ice cream.
Okay, you're probably gonna like Queen's Gambit.
I mean, maybe.
I don't necessarily feel like it's up his alley.
Do you like buttered pecan?
I don't know what that means.
Okay, so I don't know for sure because it's not like the most popular ice cream, I guess, but it's like everybody who gets it's like it's fine. Like I would prefer Rocky Road, but to me, butter pecan is like that's it. That's the ice cream. But a lot of people out there are probably gonna be like, it's boring, and I'm like, yeah, there's nuts in it, like it's good.
I mean, here's the thing: this show has to be so good, it has to get me to resubscribe to Netflix, right? And I don't know that it is because you just described it as the most boring drama ever. Right?
But I mean, at face value, right? Like, it's not exciting. It's just chess. But I mean, as somebody who likes StarCraft a lot, I think this show's right up your alley. Like, if you approach it from like watching a professional StarCraft player, like become a professional StarCraft player, like from orphanage on.
Yeah.
But also with like constant like, they had to have done it intentionally. Where you're like, is there about to be like some like men molesting this person or something? Because it's like there's a lot of like foreshadowing of like, hey, this feels sexual in a weird way. Like, what's going like? Please don't go there. And I mean, I don't want to ruin it and say it doesn't. But like, thank God. Like it
Right.
constantly has that. Like in like the first episode, you're like, oh no, don't go in the janitor's closet with the janitor for like every day. Like this is not. And he starts hitting the whiskey, and like there's a weird thing when he's taking a photograph and it zooms in on her putting her hand on his shoulder, and he's uncomfortable. And it's like, or is there gonna be a scandal? Like it was like I'm just so uncomfortable. You know, like please don't go that direction. And then it doesn't. Like thank God, because so many shows these days be like, oh, by the way, she was molested. Like. You have to watch it too because that's the modern television era. It'd be horrible.
Yeah, it's surprisingly wholesome for a TVMA show. Like there's a lot of
right away.
Yes, no, there's a lot of cursing. There's a lot of F-bombs, and there's a lot of swearing, and there's definitely drug use.
Heavy drug use, yeah.
And like underage drinking and stuff, which I think required it to have the MA rating at that point. But there's no nudity. There's like a couple sex scenes that are like the least sexy sex scenes in the history of cinema,
which was fantastic.
Yeah,
it was
good.
So realistic. It was like, hey, this is what it's like whenever you're at a party and you have sex with a guy in college, and it's awful. Like,
and he's high and he's apologizing the whole time. Like, how incredible is that?
It was exactly.
Really selling the show, guys.
I know.
So that's what I'm saying. Like it's a show that like if I were to sit down and tell you what the show is the whole time, you'd be like, why would I ever watch this? It's like chess. Like really, they get into chat. Like it's like, yeah, you better know what castling is. Got to do your research.
That's the other thing. They don't require you to know anything about chess. They kind of sort of explain it. They don't explain the basic moves. They don't explain higher level theory. They refer to the theory and they talk about it, but they never explain anything to you, and you don't need to know anything. It's very interesting that way.
I do actually wish they would have showed, because they'll do things where they'll even go through standard openings and they show like the first 3 moves, and then after that they keep going and they stop showing the board. And I'm like, show the board. Like,
or they show the board, but it's like this corner of the board, and you're like, where's the rest of the pieces?
Or like it's this transparent like.
Yeah.
20 minutes later, this is what the board looks like. 30 minutes later, it's like that was cool, but like there's so many things. It was like even the main chess, like the boss fights, right? It was like I want to like guys go look up some famous game and just have it go in that route.
Which
like,
they do. Cool. They talk about famous games that you read about in magazines and books, but they never go into any detail. It's a choice. It's an interesting one, and I don't know if it helped or hurt the show, to be honest.
Yeah, well, it didn't matter. My wife's literally watching it right now, and I'm gonna go. I'm on my second run of it. It's that good. To where I watched like 2 episodes with my wife in the middle of it, and she's like, "What is this?" and like wanted to watch it. And I was like, "Really?" Like, usually these shows are like, "Hey, what's up? Do you want to go to sleep now?"
Fair. One thing I really liked about it too is that it's a feminist message without being aggressively feminist. Does that make any sense? Do you agree, Duddles? Like, it's very much, here's the story of a woman in the 50s, and it sucks in a lot of ways. But we're not going to like have any messaging of like dudes are bad or women are oppressed and can't succeed because of how bad the 50s were. You know what I mean?
It wasn't social commentary as much as just this is what the 70s were like.
This is how it is. Yeah. And like, I love the character.
The 60s? It was the 60s, late 60s.
Yeah. She was born in the 50s, and then this happens in like the 60s. Right. Yeah. But I love the character of Beth Harmon, because she's like, I'm going at 9 years old. I'm going to go to this high school and I'm going to kick these high school boys' asses. All of them. I'm going to wreck them and make them want to die. I was like, yes, that's how we do things. She just doesn't care. She was never intimidated by anyone, but she wasn't arrogant about it either. She wasn't talking trash. She just didn't give a crap that they were dudes. She was there to play chess and she was there to win. And I really appreciated that.
So her life magazine interview in the show, they go and they talk about like, you know, the girl keeps on trying to do like the women empowering thing. And I love that afterward, you know, it's like she's like, she read the article and she's like, all they're doing is talking about that I'm a girl. And she's like, yeah, but it's amazing. You're a girl and you're doing this. It's amazing. And she's like, who cares? Like, I want to talk about like chess.
Yeah. Like, I don't care. I'm here to win at chess. I'm going to be the best chess player in the world one day. It doesn't matter. I don't have a penis. Why is that a factor of interest here? I don't understand. That was great.
Then the kid from Game of Thrones comes around with a leather like trench coat the whole time.
Crocodile Dundee up here.
Yeah, that his character was awesome. I mean, he was such a douchebag, but it was so good. It was like he's meant to like be not likable at first, and you love him really quick. Yeah. I thought he was fantastic.
Well,
I mean, the cast is amazing.
The cast is really good, but where I think it flipped for Jojen Reed of Game of Thrones fame is after she beats him in the U.S. Open, instead of him being like a dick about it, he's just like, "Hey, you are incredible. You can beat the Russians, but you need some training. Let me help you."
Yeah,
like that's the first thing he does. How amazing is that?
But they go and get drinks afterward because he at the same time you have to think he just kicked her ass like. What 20 plus games in a row, and they're playing speed chess together.
The speed chess thing, that's a great scene too. Yeah,
and he even says afterwards, she's like, and that's brought up, and he's like, yeah, that's speed chess. You have never done this before, you know.
And it's garbage. He's like, nobody play like. There's no international speed chess competition. Like the fact that I'm good at this doesn't mean anything.
There should be.
It was really humble. His attitude there, that was good.
It was his character was fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can go about the show. This show was so good. I'm sorry, Crown. I had to listen to anime, and I interrupted 2 seconds into it. And I was like, I'm derailing. And now you're being very patient and amazing listening to us talk about this. So.
I talked about this in the Discord a little bit, but the main actress who plays Beth Harmon is Anya Taylor-Joy. She is the most attractive, unconventionally attractive person I've ever seen.
My God.
She's got these wide set eyes. She's kind of like a fish person, and this little narrow chin and this small mouth. Yeah. And she's gorgeous. Like
she's a 13-year-old. I just want to point that out, gentlemen.
She's 15. The lady at the orphanage. It's so much better that she's 15. Mm-hmm. She's like 26.
It isn't much better though, because the amount of men that hit on her in her first tournament when she's 15 is a little like, ooh.
Yeah, it's rough.
Or like they don't even hit on her there, but like afterward, and they're like, by the way. 3 years later, they're like, I'm happy that you're a woman now because I could say this finally.
Well, but that's the gay dude says that. The dude who's gay is like, hey, you've grown up so nice. The twins.
The guy who was the twins. The twins were never weird about it.
Dudley Dursley.
Yeah.
Yes, Dudley. Yeah. No, he shows up.
It's amazing. Wait, was that Dudley? Is that really him?
That's the actor that played Dudley in the Harry Potter movies.
Oh my God, because he was in what's that movie with
it's the scrunched up face and the big ears. That's him.
The movie with Tom Holland in it that just came out recently on Netflix. That was like a big blockbuster. It's like in the 20s or something. I don't know.
The Devil All the Time.
Yeah, Devil All the Time. He was in that. He was a priest in that, and he was like a psychopath. I was like, I know this guy, and I feel like he's blowing up. I love this actor so much. He's so unfortunate looking, and I love him so much because he's also has this like this. It's like sort of I'm looking for, not charming, but like it's just there's a characteristic likeness to it as I see it. And it's like this guy's handsomely ugly, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's unconventionally attractive in some weird way. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, but the main actress, she's gorgeous. She's drop dead gorgeous.
There are so many scenes where it's just her across a chessboard and she just kind of like drops her face a little bit and just looks across, and I'm like, holy crap. I could not focus on that chess game at all if I was on the other side of that board.
Like when she's playing the Russian kid and she gets up and she's like twirling her dress around. And stuff. That poor kid. He's like, so tell me, in America, is there you watch movies in your car? You watch movies like Elvis Presley? Poor kid.
She destroyed that kid in every possible way. Poor thing.
It was a 6-hour game.
I hope he had a good life after that, because that could not have been a good moment for him.
He was fine. He took it well.
I'm sure he did. He was a little gentleman for sure. His English was great.
He was like 11, and he was great.
Yeah, he was great. Let me we're gonna spoil the crap out of something. I don't think it really matters, but so for her first tournament that she does after she gets adopted, she writes the janitor and is like, "Will you front me $5 for this? Because if I'm gonna win it, and then I'll send you $10 back." And he does. Because he's like the nicest person in the world.
But there's no correspondence afterward.
And then she never follows up. And then after he dies, she's like, I owed that guy $10. And I'm like, you never
that
paid
is a
him
dress.
back?
Oh, I never noticed that. So
She's
the
hanging-
first time
she's
I
hanging
watched
with-
it, oh my god.
Yeah, she's hanging with Jolene, and Jolene's like, he died, Mr. Bible died, whatever his name is. And she's like, I owe that guy $10. And I was like, you never paid him back. You're the worst human I've ever heard of.
She's definitely like a sociopath.
So,
Like the entire
yeah.
show, she has major psychological issues going on.
Sure, but like her mom was nuts and tried to kill her in a murder-suicide when she was 9. And she knew that was what's going on.
Where she knew it was going to kill the other person in the car and the daughter in the back seat. Instead of just letting immediately after just not giving the daughter to the father. Like,
yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like, Beth knew what happened. She was aware that her mom was committing suicide and trying to take her with her. And that's what her formative experience growing up is. She spent her years with an insane lady who tried to kill her, and now she's in an orphanage. Like, she's not going to be okay. I like that. I like that she was a little messed up because it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And also her mom was clearly a little messed up, and she was
That's
a
what
PhD.
I'm saying.
She was a PhD and a college professor, like MIT or something, for mathematics. I forget what the university was, but she was a mathematics professor. Cambridge? That's right, Cambridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably a little... I don't know if you guys have met, like, really higher up math professors that are that level. There's a couple screws loose. Like,
They're
not in a bad way. They're quirky for sure.
But like even Mr. The janitor talks about this. He's like, look, you're a genius at chess, but there's a cost. Like, for anyone who's a genius at anything, there is another side to that coin, and there is a cost to it. I don't know what it's going to be for you, but it's going to be there. I thought that was such a good moment.
It's probably going to be these tranquilizers we're giving 9-year-olds at an orphanage.
That's legit, though. God. I looked that up. They didn't make that up. I looked that up. They totally used to do that.
Just tranquilize kids during the day.
Yeah, and housewives.
Like, good morning. Here's your
housewives, too. They prescribe them to unsatisfied housewives who had nothing to do all day. Just give them these tranquilizers so they could be chill.
Still do. It's just called Xanax. I don't know if you've heard the stereotype of the Shard and Xanax mom, but I met him.
It's still happening, is what you're saying.
I kind of wish I was a Shard and Xanax mom. That actually doesn't sound too bad.
There's worse things in the world.
Yeah. Like I could be like a Shard and I don't know, like ecstasy mom. That sounds horrible. Doing like super hard drugs every day. Raising a family, just tripping your balls off, like that'd be horrible.
That's like a challenge. But the relationship, like the mom too, right? The mom and the dad adopt her, and in every other movie, you get adopted by somebody, and either they're evil or they're like angels, right? But in the show,
neither.
They're just people. Like the dad sucks,
great,
and the mom is unfulfilled and kind of she sucks in certain ways too. She's not an angel.
Oh, but
they get along and they develop a relationship and they love each other and they care about each other and it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, dude. So my favorite part of the whole show is another one of those things where they have these like anxious moments where they're like setting it up to be like, hey, this mom's totally just gonna start stealing from like this girl's life is so bad. The mom is gonna be like stealing. So whenever she comes out and flat out's like, by the way, can I get a 10% agent fee? And then the daughter's just like, make it 15%. I was like, my anxiety is thank God.
Yeah, because she did. The mom does the stupid thing where she's like, I need to talk to you about something. It's like, just say it. Don't ever say that to somebody. It just increases anxiety.
It's like, hey, what's up? You know how like I don't have a job and we have a house and I'm trying to raise you, and I drink a lot. And she drinks.
Like, have you seen the prices of whiskey at the alcohol store? It's not cheap. Also the other thing is money, right? Because it's the 60s, and it's like, what's your budget for the rest of the month, Mom? I have $7 left, and I'm like, you're all going to die.
Yeah.
And then she buys the equity in the home from her adopted dad for $7,000. And I'm like, that's like chump change. She could just got a house for $7,000. That's pretty good.
But that's substantial back then. So we actually looked up. My wife and I I'm going to say my wife and I to give myself credit, but my wife looked up how much. So at her second tournament winnings, she won $500. So we looked up what that would be now. That's over $4,000 now.
That's killer.
So think about being 16, I think, or 15 or 16 whenever she actually won that tournament and getting $4,000. Like, talk about your StarCraft Pro experience. You're like, hey, mom, I just got four, and they're like, you need to get a job. Like, you can't do this. You need to go to college. And they're like, you made how much money in one day? Like, okay,
Yeah,
that's more than I made today. Okay,
that's like a whole month. Yeah.
But yeah, but back then too, it's also like, I don't know, because kids didn't work, so it's like there's this extra income coming in. All of a sudden, wouldn't even buy the damn girl a chess. And she didn't even have a chessboard until she was 16 years old, and she hadn't played chess, by the way, since she was 9. And then she turns around and like wins a tournament without playing a single game of chess.
No, what are you talking about? She gets it. She's 9. She plays a ton of chess in the basement until she's 15. Then she gets adopted.
No. They can't, because of the drug thing. They said no more chess. She was banned from chess the rest of the time she was there.
For the whole, I thought that was like a temporary punishment. That was the rest of the time.
It could have been, but it was assumed in the way that it was the first thing she did when she got out was she was like chess. That's what I gathered.
Okay. I assumed it was like no chess for a month, Beth. Stop stealing drugs from the infirmary.
And like the janitor comes out and they were like distant afterwards because like it was probably like it was already established that the relationship was inappropriate, but now they can't play chess. They had nothing to talk about. So like he couldn't approach her because it's a janitor and there's a bunch of girls. Like,
I just assumed that she would have gone insane if she wasn't able to play chess for like 7 years. That seems, I don't know. That seems weird to me.
Well, she did.
She had the books.
Yeah, and then she had her ceiling after she took the drugs, which they stopped giving her.
Right.
But you know,
and she didn't need the drugs. There's a very moralistic message to this movie, but it's like they're very determined to make the Christians in the TV show look bad, but drugs are bad and drinking is bad.
The Christians were nice. They were just made out to be a little crazy looking. Well, like the like main Christian person who was like crying and choking up during like the weird Roman movie they were watching, and like when she was 9, when she was actually stealing drugs, and like she was like getting all choked up about this magical moment. It was like, oh, this lady's a little nuts, but like everybody else was fine.
Well, I just meant the people that bankrolled her that were gonna pay for her trip to Russia. Right?
Oh yeah, but they were like clearly a.
I'm not reading your crazy person statement about God here. And they're like, well, we've already bankrolled your trip to San Francisco and we've already put some money toward instead of being like, you do you, lady. Like, I don't know.
They established that as like it was like right out the gate, they established that as kind of being like a really hokey, like Christian, like
well,
weird.
They're trying to knock down communism for Jesus. Like,
yeah, it was
that's
weird.
what they were doing. Yeah,
which is like it was a strange thing.
It was a fairly common thing in the 60s, but yeah.
Okay, well then maybe I'm wrong. I'm just saying, like, I feel like the show painted it like they introduced these people as like, hey, by the way, these people are gonna be real weird. Just go with it, and say what they want to say, and you'll be fine.
Right. But then Beth was like, no, I'm my own person because she's great. Mm-hmm. All right, that's enough. We've talked Somicron's ear off about the show he does not care about at all.
He's like watching another anime. I mean, Googling butter pecan recipes.
I feel like I've seen this show.
We've described all of it for you by now. That's entirely fair.
Have you at least looked up the lead actress? Do that for me.
I saw a photo in the Discord earlier. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've been talking about how I'm in love with their character.
Falcon shared it. She's fine. Yeah,
she's weird looking, attractive.
No, all right, she's not even weird looking. She's just attractive.
Oh, interesting. Somicron zags.
Yeah. Well, you better watch her first starring role.
Good.
I mean, she was in the New Mutants, and she's been on Peaky Blinders. Yeah.
But have you seen her chesticles? Chest.
What? No.
Not chest, guys, Jesus.
What are we talking about here? What is happening?
Keep it above board, Duddles.
Yeah, Duddles.
Bored.
She was Emma in a recent Emma portrayal, of which there are 800 Emma portrayals. So, like, She was in that new Dark Crystal remake they did in 2019.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, so she's been in a bunch of stuff, but this is the first time I recognized her.
Yes. She's Cassandra in the TV series Atlantis. I don't even know what that is. I haven't seen her in anything until this, so I'm with you on that. Anywho, we got to wrap this up. We're over time.
Do we though? I mean, you still have one more thing on that you wanted to talk about, didn't you? It's kind of a big thing that happened. Something about an election. I don't know.
Yes,
I've not heard much about it, so you're gonna have to.
Yeah. So all right. So finally, we can get down to the Finnish election. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what's going on in Finland.
Finland, it was another bloody coup in Finland, a nation known for its political violence. The military took over the government. Cyril was given his own land by the provisional government for his StarCraft exploits, and he's been made a knight in the new government. Anyway,
today,
the election happened. Biden won. Like, there's going to be some recounts and some challenges in court, but like none of that's going to do anything.
Trump is currently over 10 in that for all of his every single lawsuit that he's put forward has been dismissed, and he's done 10. Oh. He's done 11 now, but that one is still contested, I guess. Like, there's no result that hasn't even actually been addressed yet, but everyone that has been addressed, all 10 have been dismissed.
Well, that's encouraging. That's encouraging. The judicial system is just being like, come on, man, let it go.
It's a lot of it is, I think they actually showed the transcripts in one of them, and it was like the lawyer who was the prosecutor. I don't really know what it's like when it's like kind of this type of case, the terminology, but like I guess Trump's lawyer is saying like, hey, there's, we're going to present evidence that somebody wasn't in the room to watch the counting process, and they're like, so are you saying you guys didn't have like you're saying right now that there was not a GOP member there physically in the room during the counting process? And he said there was a non-zero amount of people, and he's like, so there was somebody there. And the guy literally responded, why are you here? Like, what is this trial? What is this suit? What are you doing? No, get out of here. Like, you guys, that's your entire case, is that nobody was there. But whenever you were like bound by oath to be like, and they were like, there was a non-zero amount of people there. What, -1? Is that your issue? I don't know.
It's not great.
Bad. It's not looking good if you're a Trump supporter, I think. Or I don't know. I just think that it's just a circus is really what's going on both sides, really. But for sure.
Concur. For sure. Yeah. So it's over. That's nice. I really don't know what else to say about it. Here's the thing. I think there were many, many more times votes for not Trump than there were votes for Biden. I think a lot of the turnout for 2020 was Trump sucks, we hate him, rather than Biden's going to save the country. Biden is fine. Yeah. He is a placeholder. He clears the bar on some level. But no one's excited for this guy.
He's just a less offensive Trump policy-wise, really, in a lot of
ways. Yeah. But less offensive than Trump is not hard. That's the thing. Trump set the bar so low, for you to be above Trump's bar is like, wow, here's a gold star, man.
Yeah, you did it. That's what a lot of people are saying on these articles, like Biden, the most voted for presidential candidate. And I'm like, no. Trump, the most voted against presidential candidate. It's different. Very different. Which would actually make Trump also the most voted for presidential candidate, which is like wild. It's the most people voted ever right now. It's incredible.
It's bonkers. I saw it coming though. Like back in 2017, I made a lunch bet with one of my coworkers that we'd have the highest turnout in 2020 we've ever had, more than Obama. And he was like, no. And I was like, I don't know, man. A lot of people are going to be voting against Trump, and a lot of his supporters are going to be out in force because they feel like they're going to get railroaded if they don't. That's exactly what happened.
Can I tell you, living in Houston, Texas, and I mean, I think you live in a conservative state too.
Oh, we voted like 70% Trump, man. It wasn't even close.
Oh yeah. So I don't even know if you guys had it, since I also live in Harris County, which is like a heavily, I mean, it's blue, but it's like it's a swing county. It is very heavily contested. The amount of those truck parades that happened, and like right outside, literally like on my street, on my apartment, was insane. I'm literally, there's a donut shop across the street and also like a breakfast taco place. So I'll get up in the morning, I'm hungover, and I get out and I'm like, oh, it's 9, in the morning, which is crazy early. It's not. I have a kid. I have a 2-year-old. That's actually like I've been up for 3 hours, but I'm finally getting breakfast. And I'm walking across the street. I have my mask on. I'm in my sandals. Like, I'm like really even dreading talking to the person to order my food. And then I'm standing there at the like in the median, because I crossed the street on one way, then the other way. There's a like 8-mile long Trump truck rally driving by, and every single one of them is honking at me and screaming, "Vote for Trump!" like waving their flags and like. Rah! I'm just like, like if I was a swing voter, do you guys really think that right now, me standing in the median trying to cross the street, and this is how you guys are treating me, that I'd be like, well, I'm convinced. Like, what are they doing? What's the purpose of this?
I mean, it's to get the base riled up. It's the people who are already going to vote for Trump to get excited and actually go vote for Trump, I think is what that is.
Exactly. But do you know what it also does? Everybody there who doesn't want to vote for Trump are like, oh yeah, all these people are voting.
Yeah.
I need to probably do that too.
It increases voting on the other side for sure.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about Utah. Like, I don't know that Utah is full of that kind of crazy Trump voter. Like, I haven't seen many signs. I haven't seen truck rallies. I haven't seen billboards. It's just been the people I've talked to are Mormons who are like that Trump puts in conservative Supreme Court justices. That's it. Yeah. There's nothing else they care about. Trump could be murdering babies, and like as long as he puts in conservative Supreme Court justices, they're going to vote for him. That's all it is. And I get that.
I'm actually kind of more okay with that type of person than the people who are like, yeah, Trump is my guy.
Yeah.
Like, because most of my family members are just like, I just don't like Democrats. Like, I'm just going to, and I'm like, all right. Which I used to hate that, but now I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
I got almost all my friends are Democrats. They're all douchebags. I get it. Like, they suck. Very obnoxious people. But I don't know. I don't want to get too into that down that rabbit hole. But like I appreciate that more, because I can't see anybody being like super pro Biden or super pro Trump. Like, no, if anybody's like, this is my guy, I'm like, gross.
It's
These are horrible candidates. It's a terrible presidential election.
We do it to ourselves, man. Anybody decent that runs for president, we murder. We find every skeleton we can, every bit of dirt. We make it sound worse than it is, and we smear them all over the public grounds. And like, I don't know if there is a good person, like a truly good person, who wants to go through that. I don't think there is. I don't know. It's a problem.
John McCain was pretty good, I'd say. I mean, he did some things that are questionable, but like,
yeah, he did.
Man, that guy like was still like, everybody respected him for the most part. Like he was a good guy.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. I think both Mitt Romney and John McCain were basically good people, but like the Democrats in my life portrayed them as evil. Like, they're really bad people, and it's like, can this be about I disagree with their policies and not making it out them to be Satan?
Yeah,
why are we
especially because now if you look at like the Democratic Party, they're like, these guys are saints. And it's like, we miss them. But like, what was the worst thing that happened in the issue? Do you know what Mitt Romney and John McCain did wrong? They ran against Obama. Like, that was their fault. And Obama he's just the best public speaker in the world. Like, you're not going to beat that guy in a public popularity contest, right? But like the worst thing,
but that's the thing. Like, Mitt Romney was the cool governor of Massachusetts who implemented state-run healthcare. Holy crap, that's awesome. He's a cool dude. And then he runs for president, and he's Satan. He murders business, and he has binders full of women. And like, we heard one time he held down a gay kid and cut off his hair in the 1943, right? Like, these are the things we have. That's a real thing, by the way.
Did he do that? Or is that
I don't know. Somebody told a newspaper this, and they ran it. And it's like, this is all we have, really?
But
And then
don't you miss the
McCain,
days when that was like the worst thing you could possibly do was say that you had binders full of women versus like to have two presidential people who are literally in court right now for like sexual assault and rape.
well,
You know, like
but the argument is the Democrats took two good men. McCain was known for crossing the aisle and voting with Democrats from time to time. And he was generally well liked. And then he ran for president and he got dragged through the mud.
yeah.
So a lot of Republicans were like, so this is what happens to our guys. No matter how good of a person they are, they get dragged through the mud. And so then Trump comes along and everyone's like, this guy's a really bad guy. And everyone's like, boy who cried wolf. Like, you've done this with the last two people and they weren't that bad. Why should we believe you about Trump? And I think it's totally backfired on the Democrats.
I couldn't agree more.
Do you think people were like, well, we don't believe that this person's actually bad? Or they were just like, no, this is our position. He's a piece of shit, but I think people will vote for it. Like, what can you say about this person that someone else hasn't already said? Like, you can't just keep piling on mud onto someone who's muddy, right?
The thing is that they were like a lot of the base came forward with Trump and they were like, he said, you know, like he does these things and you can't say it because we're gonna admit to it first and we like it. It's like, whoa. Whoa. Like, and this guy is actually way worse than even the allegations that were made up about the last two guys. But
Right.
like so they just which was honestly in a lot of ways kind of brilliant. It was brilliant. The Trump campaign out the gate was like a great social experiment that is horrifyingly turned out to be correct.
It totally worked, and it is terrifying. Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But I have to put
another John McCain.
that's the thing. I've just got to put some of the blame on the DNC. They cried wolf too many times, and then Trump came along, and it didn't have the same power as it did previously. They screwed it up. You need to save evil for when it's evil. That's all there is to it.
I agree with that. Especially for like if you watch John McCain's concession speech, like I choke up at that. It's like beautiful. And then it's like like how the Democratic Party portrayed him during his election, during that campaign was so awful. And then he turns around and he's like the nicest guy and this like the best, most genuine person afterward, and so humble and great. And it's like
I just want to go back to a time when I don't know if this time's ever really existed, but a time when we disagreed with people because of their opinions on politics, and we didn't make them out to be Satan for it. Like the left looks at the right and thinks they're Nazis, and the people on the right look at the people on the left and think that they're communists and coming to take all their guns and all their rights. Like it's a mess. Nobody has respect for anybody else.
I just miss the lack of misinformation, and I'll be honest, I used to be like a really nice person. Like if you don't ever follow me on Twitter, I'm very political and it's awful. But
you are
like I will talk to people in a certain way where I'm very condescending and I should not do that. But I'm trying to work on it. But like whenever I see these people who are anti-vax and they're flat earthers and stuff, and they're spreading these conspiracy theory bullshit, like I have trouble like holding back, and I'm very mean to these people. Because they're very it's not that they're stupid, it's that they're willfully ignorant. There's a difference, you know. Because a lot of these people.
But the question is, does it work, Duddles? Do you go off on these people and they're like, Duddles, you've shown me the light?
Of course not.
No.
And that's the thing. I know. And my wife will talk to me and she's like, stop. Like, just delete your Twitter. Like, you're not changing anybody's mind. All you're doing is getting in a fight with somebody. And I'm like, yeah, but they're wrong on the internet.
Come to bed, honey. I'm sorry, someone's wrong on the internet. Greatest XKCD of all time. Yeah,
exactly. But it's just the misinformation, I think, is what drives me nuts. Because it's not like, it's like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, can you source that? And they source me like somebody else's tweet. And I'm like, oh, somebody else said that, huh? I'm like, so that's real.
It's a never-running rabbit hole, man. You can't win.
Yeah. It's just, but it's the percentage of the people who think like that is really terrifying. I mean, I don't know. When you guys went to high school, you guys learned how to like source your essays, right?
Yeah.
Like MLA formatting, like at the end it's like cite and reference. Like, and I'm assuming most people graduated high school.
Yeah.
Like, what did they like not take English?
So here's the problem. They don't trust the traditional sources of information for politics, right? Whether wrong or
I'm
not.
not even talking about. I'm talking. I'm kind of tangenting over to like the anti-vaccination and
The
science. And stuff.
anti-vax is a political thing. The flat earthers is a political thing. The anti-maskers are a political thing. It's all politics now.
Why?
It is. They see it. It's politics. It's political belief. There are, yeah. So that's just it. People don't trust political sources of information. And even if they go to like the CDC and they talk about something, they're going to be like, they're getting paid off. They don't believe it. They see it as it's politics. It's all corrupt all the way down. I'm going to believe what I see over here on Facebook.
Yeah. Literally, a guy shared me a tweet that was like @anonymous Soma, like was the Twitter, and like one of the points this person made was like as the fact that vaccines are the guy's argument was that polio was injected by the government into the society of people.
No, you're hurt. No, Duddles, you're hurting me.
I know, and so what's really crazy about this guy is that he knew a lot about vaccines, and I mean like a lot, way more than I did. So I was talking about him like, you're actually like know how to research stuff. The issue is he's finding stuff that fit an agenda and like saving that stuff, then everything else is like no. So then he's like documenting these sources of like what MD5 is, blah blah blah. I'm not gonna get too into that. But then he goes into like So then he goes into this thing about this tweet, and the person was saying that like it is because of our RNA and DNA is different from animals, it is impossible for a virus to transfer from an animal to a human and vice versa. And I'm like
that's where all our diseases came from.
Like that's where AIDS came from. Like that's where the bubonic plague came from, was like rats and stuff, right? Like what are you talking about?
Every disease we vaccinated against today came because humanity decided to live in close contact with millions of animals in cities. The rise of cities created polio and mumps and measles and rubella and all this stuff. It did not exist before. We crammed farm animals into cities. It jumped because there were so many instances and available points of contact for it, and that's where it all came from. It's nuts.
These people wouldn't even say these things if they didn't do enough research about viruses to understand how they replicate, which is because they're not living life forms. They have to take RNA from a host and then use that and then they actually use the nucleic acid from them to replicate their own. So they steal like the bits of the RNA and they like get rid of the rest that actually matches their own encoding, and then they split off. Kind of like they typically just explode into like a bunch of other viruses, or just two, or like whatever, depending on the type of virus. And like they're parasitic, but they're not living, but it's really this weird gray area of life. But they had to like look that up to know even that DNA and RNA was involved at all. So they're like, yeah, but then you don't share that with animals, so it's impossible. So it's like they learned that much about it and they stopped.
Yeah, it's a problem.
I'm going to stop. I can go about this for 2 hours. I'm taking up way too much of y'all's time with this. I'm sorry, guys.
No, keep going.
No, that's look, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just frustrating. It's frustrating to me is what it is. So what we need is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I would like him to be the president in 2024. I think he has what it takes to heal the nation and unite us as Americans. I think he has wide appeal. He has enough charisma to make everybody feel okay about things. And he seems like a legitimately good dude. So I'm not even kidding. Like, if I will vote for Dwayne Johnson in the 24 election if he runs. I don't know why he didn't run this year. I think he would have done pretty well. But 2024, please save us, The Rock. I think you can make us Americans again instead of this divided nation.
Who would his vice president be is my question. And
I don't even care.
I would. That would be the president, and then The Rock would be a mouth, right? But like,
so look, here's the thing. Here's all the things the president has to do these days. 1, hire a competent cabinet. 2, listen to the cabinet. 3, make decisions based on the things the people tell you from the cabinet. And 4, make great speeches and shake hands with people. That's it, man. That's all he has to do.
But like, who's going to hire the cabinet? The vice president would hire that cabinet. That's what I'm saying. Like, who's going to be the vice president? Like,
well, the vice president traditionally helps the president get a part of the country that he doesn't get, or she doesn't get, and also Well, there's other reasons for the vice president, but I don't know, man. Here's the thing: he gets all the Trump voters because he is the biggest WWE star of the last 20 years, right? Yes.
Yeah,
And
I mean, yeah.
he's not a horrible white dude, so I think Democrats are down with him. I think that side of the country is like, yeah.
Especially all the
Broken
people who wouldn't have voted for Biden but only voted for him because it wasn't Trump. Like, that's
Yeah.
the vote you're looking for.
Like, that's the trick, is everything I've read about The Rock is he can go into a room and own the room. He can make everybody that he talks to feel like they're the most important person in the world.
And he can do like this thing really well.
Yeah, do the eyebrow.
God, I look so ugly when I do that. Look at The Rock's good.
But that's the magic thing that JFK had, that Bill Clinton had, that Obama had, that W had to some extent, was this ability to be like charisma. You fill a room with your presence and everybody knows that you're there. And I think that's a big part of it. Like, we've already elected professional wrestlers to governorships twice now, and they've gone okay. Like, does Minnesota regret electing Jesse the Body Ventura as Arnold Schwarzenegger? Did he do a poor job in California? I don't think so. I didn't hear any complaints about it. So I just think The Rock can totally do it. And
the governor.
Yeah. That's all. That's all I want in my life, is a presidential candidate to come from somewhere that everybody likes. And I don't know if that's even possible. What I'm worried is that he would choose a party and then the other party would destroy him. Just because of laundry, right? Because he's on the other side.
That's gonna happen no matter what. No party is gonna be like, do you know what, guys? Actually, The Rock is pretty cool. We're not even running this year.
I know.
Like, we agree.
That's my dream. That's what I want. I want him to run.
We did smell what he was cooking. It smells good. We're gonna go with The Rock.
He runs as an independent and wins. It'd be the greatest miracle in U.S. politics history.
I would just be cool with him running as an independent and getting 3%, so then third parties can get on the debate stage. That'd be enough for me.
I think he could get 3% as an independent easily. I think.
But then, I mean, you say that. I mean, he would get a lot more votes than Kanye West.
Dude, Kanye got like 7,000 votes in Tennessee, man. I don't know what happened with Kanye. He got way more votes than I thought he would.
Those people were joking. Nobody was like it's like what's the amount of votes that what's that one guy who I forgot what some kid ran for president, and it was he came off as he put a fake name in. What was it I think it was Totes My Goats or something. I don't know what the name was.
Classic, great name. Yeah.
It was like a masturbation. Not D's nuts, no. But it was somebody came out and he actually got a pretty substantial amount of votes using a pretty stupid name, and it was really funny. Why can't I find this? It was in 2016.
But that's part of it, right? Part of what got Trump elected was name recognition. Was everybody knew who he was because of the TV show, and he's just been around pop culture for the last 30 years. So yeah, if The Rock's on the ballot, even if someone's like, I never follow politics and I'm going to go to the polling station and holy crap, Dwayne The Rock Johnson's on there, I think I'll vote for him. I think that would totally work.
They just get to that first screen and do you guys smell that? My elbow hurts.
Yeah, I just
Vice
I don't know,
President
man.
is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Sure. I don't think you need another
every rally.
That's leaning too hard into the right wing, though. I don't think that works out as well. You'd need someone.
I don't know. Stone Cold is. You'd be surprised, I think, with him. I think that's
He
how it comes
crosses
off.
the aisle.
Oh, I mean, he has cussed people out about the Confederate flag thing, so I don't know.
Well, maybe then.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's democratic, right? He just doesn't like the Confederate flag, which I think should be a pretty staple American thing.
Hating the Confederate flag, or the Confederate flag should be a staple American thing?
Oh, it's both. Right now.
I just wanted to clarify your position on this, presidential candidate Duddles.
Dude, Mississippi changed their state flag.
Did they?
That's crazy.
That came through just recently. I'm honestly shocked. Hello, Cinnamon. Yeah, because like there was all this talk about like we need to get rid of the Confederate flag, and I was like, the South like will never do that. Those guys suck. Everybody in the South hates me now, but I'm in the South. Sort of. I don't consider Texas the South,
which is so weird because we're more southern than most of the South. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah. No, they changed it recently. Yeah, 2020 referendum.
Wow.
They did it. So good job, Mississippi. Something good for once. Way to go. Nailed it. All right. Well, are we done?
Jesus, they put in God we trust. Wow.
Words
of man, thumbs down.
Just take what you can get, you greedy son of a bitch. Honestly,
that's fine. Leave that on there. Who cares?
Mississippi decided not to be super racist with their state flag, and you're worried about. Oh no, they put God on there.
Well, we're getting money. Who cares? Keep it on there.
Yeah,
whatever.
Put it alone.
No,
jeez. Omicron, honestly.
You don't even go here.
All right, cool. Let's wrap it up. Anything else we need to talk about?
No, I've already gone too much into pigeonholes. Omicron, please.
No, I think that's it. I think we're done. I think we're done for the day.
We're gonna end on politics.
Oh, okay. We can end on one thing, which is new show. Okay, it's Cinnamon. Cinnamon climbing all over Falcon. Give her good pets. Mm-hmm. You know, we also have new merch out in the merch store. Go and check that out. Yeah, I'm wearing the decorative Nihongo Falcon Paladin t-shirt for when you're feeling like a weeb like Duddles. I've got a box of like 20 being shipped to your apartment. I know how much you love anime and Japanese writing, so I've gone ahead and sent some to you.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's falconpaladin.store. Pretty easy to remember. Check it out.
It's easy to get there. I think there's actually a command in chat, if I remember correctly.
I mean, who would just wear shirts and advertise their own stuff right here? It's ridiculous.
I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
So stupid.
Looks like there is no command. I'll have to fix that.
Dude, so actually, where I got this jersey made, and I was gonna send somebody for like a wedding present, the wedding that I went to. Which, by the way, have you guys ever gone to a Vietnamese wedding?
No.
Wow, it's different. It was awesome. I had so much fun. When I went by myself during COVID times to a wedding, like everything about it was like to a guy who I've met like once. He's on my StarCraft team, really nice guy, Dr. Powerthirst, love you, dude.
Great.
Thanks for inviting me to your wedding. That's awesome. So I went and literally sat at a table with just like one couple, and they're both like, "How do you know him?" And I'm like, "I play StarCraft with them." They're like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "It's in Houston. They invited me. Why am I like? I don't say no to weddings." So anyway, so I was gonna get him like a jersey for a wedding gift because that makes sense in my opinion. And they shut down because of COVID. They don't make this company that made this jersey does not exist anymore. And that's sad.
Oh really?
Which sucks. It's like a cool jersey and like the purple, like the colors match very well and stuff. Like it. So I just gotta find a new one. It's not like I can still get him one like from another. I'm sure there's another jersey store that exists. But like this one was like kind of cheap. It was like $30. That's like really good for a custom made jersey. Very sad.
Yeah, very reasonable. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that's going to be it from us today then. A very special, super long 3-man pod edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour. Again, check out the store. Check out the Patreon page for the podcast. It's in the show notes. If you have any feedback, you can hit me at falconpaladin@gmail.com. You can tell us how we sucked or what we can talk about that you'd be interested in. And we'll be here next week. Thanks again, Duddles, for joining us. Anything you want to plug before we go?
I have nothing going on in my life.
Sweet. StarCraft.
Hey, check out the Falcon Paladin Hour. It's like the coolest thing I'm doing lately. You guys want to plug that because that's like all I'm involved with.
And that's it.
All right.
Fantastic. So again, thanks everybody. Stay safe out there. Stay healthy. And we'll see you next week. Until then, please take care of yourselves. Goodbye.
Bye.